Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining our Buddhism sharing meeting today. So this morning we are going to start with a very interesting topic called Nichiren Buddhism and God. Let me start. Buddhists do not believe in God because they think that the belief is not necessary. Some claim that the belief in God is necessary in order to explain the origin of the universe. But this is not so. Science has very convincingly explained how the universe came into being without having to introduce God. Some claim that believing God is necessary to have a happy, meaningful life. Again, we can see that this is not so. Some claim that believing God's power is necessary because humans, being weak, do not have the strength to help themselves. Once again, the evidence indicates the opposite. Often, one hears of people who have overcome great disabilities and handicaps, enormous odds and difficulties, through their own inner resources, through their own efforts and without belief in God. Buddha saw that each human being had the capacity to purify the mind, develop infinite love and compassion, and perfect understanding. He shifted attention from the heavens to the heart and encouraged us to find solutions to our problems through self-understanding. Nichiren Buddhism embraces the mystic law and encourages people to chant its title, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. That is the title of the Lotus Sutra, the highest teaching in Buddhism. The mystic law, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, gives rise to all wonders in the universe, from the galaxies and planets to water, trees, and each of us. The same power that creates the star lies within us, with every human being equally having the potential to lead a life of ultimate fulfillment, to overcome all obstacles and change all hardship into joy. The mystic law is both out there and inside our own lives. It fills everything and everyone. Buddhas are human beings who perceive the mystic law within and fully manifest in it their daily lives. In this sense, there is no absolute distinction between the mystic law, the Buddha, and us human beings. We are all Buddhas, worthy of supreme respect. We can use the limitless power of the mystic law to work for our benefit, but it is not something we request to answer our prayers. While we acknowledge the existence of the power of life itself, at the same time, we remain firmly at the controls. The degree to which we can tap the power of the law depends on the strength of our faith and practice. When we chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo with confidence, we activate the mystic law within us. Thus, armed with a strong life condition, we become the catalyst for everything in our lives. People, things, situations, to function in support of achieving our desires and our deepest happiness. Rather than encouraging dependence on either an external power or on an individual's inherent ability, Nichiren Buddhism perfectly balances the two. The fusion of the macrocosm, the universal law, and the microcosm, the individual, gives rise to an individual's happiness. Much like the fusion of wick and wax allows a candle to burn and shed light. Much of the above explanation of the mystic law may sound familiar to those who believe in God. Ultimately, of course, ours is not a monotheistic religion. We don't believe in a creator God, distinct from us. We do embrace the view of a compassionate life of the universe. we identify the highest potential in all human life and continually strive to reveal this potential both in ourselves and in those around us. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I was a baptized Catholic and studied the Bible for many years. And the Bible tells us that Jesus is the Son of God, and he was God made man. So Jesus is God, and God is Jesus. I mean, they are the same entity. Well, science says that the whole universe is made up of one element, which is stardust. And we human beings are made of the same element. So we are one with the universe. Buddhism says that we are all Buddhas. So all the above indicates more or less the same theory. Well, the only difference between Christianity and Buddhism is that Christians feel that they are inferior to God. They don't have the power, and whatever they have are being granted by God. If God says that you should have it, then you have it. If God says that you are not worthy of it, then you don't have it. Whereas Nichiren Buddhism says that we all have infinite power within ourselves. We are all Buddhas. And as long as we can bring forth our Buddhahood by chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, we've got the power to achieve or obtain anything we want in life. Okay, so our next subject is, what is the point of chanting the sutra or doing gongyo in a language I do not understand? A lot of us do the gongyo, and we don't understand what it means. So here it says, each word of the sutra that we recite in the morning and evening has profound meaning. Nichiren encouraged us to read it with our lives. As we have seen in our discussion of the 10 worlds and Ichinen Sensen, because human beings are preoccupied with 1,000 different thoughts and problems, large and small, our minds tend to be extremely variable, flitting from one thing to another. Our thoughts ebb and flow in a swirling stream of consciousness. While the practice of doing gongyo is relatively easy, doing it every day, morning and evening, is difficult. If you are having trouble reciting gongyo on a regular basis, then this is exactly where you need to concentrate your efforts in order to change your karma rapidly. In other words, the practice of gongyo identifies our weakness. If you have been chanting for a long time, you might even want to look to the English translation to see which words you are stumbling over. Ponder these words deeply. The problems one encounters in gongyo can be very revealing, even mystic. Remember, in Buddhism, there are no coincidences. Well, I would really encourage everybody to try to, when you recite the gongyo, if you understand the words and the meanings in it, it will really help you. Because the words are so pretty and so inspiring that will help you in your daily life. Well, there are words like Daika So So Ji Gashi Do Anon, which means that when the fire is burning outside, where we are is safe and sound. Now, this is just an example, an analogy, which tells us if our faith is strong, whatever happens in the outside world, we are not affected because we know that we are okay. We've got the power to overcome everything. So that is the meaning of the gongyo, of what we recite every day. So the words are very, very pretty and very powerful. So I would encourage everybody to try to see the meaning of our gongyo. If you do want to know more about it, you can text me and then we can try and see if we can arrange a meeting so we can discuss the meaning of the gongyo, either in English or Chinese. Okay, now the next topic is the topic which I really want Judy Chen to listen and to understand. The title is Appreciation and Confidence on Health and Illness. Now, below are dialogues between President Ikeda, Mr. Sato, Mr. Suda, and Mr. Endo on this subject. President Ikeda. He says, President Toda had incredible confidence. In question and answer sessions concerning illness, often he would reply, "You must not ask, 'Will I get better?' You will recover without fail as long as you continue practicing in earnest. If, on the other hand, you have doubts as to whether you will get better, then your prayers will not be answered." People's bodies are susceptible to such ailments as those of the stomach, including stomach ulcer and lung disease. Because our bodies have the ability to become ill, they also possess the power to fix themselves. It is similar to how a person who has climbed a hill can also descend the hill. This is my personal outlook, and I can say these things based on a correct philosophy of life. Mr. Sato says, I understand that Mr. Toda would often reprimand people who would start out with a complaint. Now, Mr. Toda didn't like people to complain, and I don't neither. Well, let me say, Mr. Toda says something like this. I'm not better yet, even though I've been chanting for some time. This is the complaint that Mr. Toda didn't like. Let me repeat. The sick person says, I'm not better yet, even though I've been chanting for a long time. So in saying this person is doubting in the power of chanting. President Ikeda says, when he heard somebody speak of illness, President Toda would emphasize to such an extent that he would often dream about him or her that night. That's why he would strictly correct the attitude in faith of those who craved only benefit while not practicing sincerely, or who would complain that they were not completely cured, even though they had seen some improvement. You know, somebody, it's me talking again, sometimes they are sick, but when they get better, they will still complain, I'm not 100%. This is a very bad attitude. Let me go on. It is not a matter of form, he would say. We need to pour our lives into praying to the Gohansen. We need to engrave the Gohansen in our lives. When we chant Daimoku with true determination, as though offering up our very lives, we cannot fail to overcome any illness. Now, let me talk about myself again. I've been sick for a very long time. Even though from childhood, I've been very sick. So after starting chanting, only about 10 years ago, I was still not very well, you know. I've got problem here and there, stomach pain and everything, and no energy. So one day, I chanted to the Gohansen. I said, enough is enough. I don't want to get sick anymore. I give my whole life to you. Okay? And I wish that I would have all the energy to do all the things that I want to do and to do Kosen Rufu. I'm giving my life to the Gohansen. So it was when I started to feel better. Okay, let me go on. It is completely shameless to think that you can cure any illness that even doctors at the very best of hospitals cannot cure, without giving yourself completely to the Gohansen. Now, I did that even before I read this article. Long time ago, I said, I'm giving my life to you, to the Gohansen. And I want to get better, and I rely on the Gohansen's power to make me feel better. Well, in doing so, I'm not talking to outside world. I'm talking to myself, my own Gohansen, to help me feel better, to help me get better. Let me go on. The Buddha is not obligated to provide a cure. How many hundreds of people have you introduced to Buddhism? How much have you helped your members to strengthen their faith? You should reflect on this. If you turn over a new leaf and can truly dedicate yourself to Kosen Rufu, staking your very life on it, then I can say with confidence that you will be cured without fail. Now here it emphasizes the point that we need to dedicate our lives to help people, and then you will get well. Let me go on. He would also say, if your condition improves even a little, you should feel appreciation from the depths of your heart. If, on the other hand, instead of feeling appreciation, you are disappointed because you have not improved more and treat the Gohonsen as though it owes you a debt, that will not do. Now, this is exactly what we need to remember. Even if your health gets better a little bit, please appreciate and thank the Gohonsen for the progress. And do not say, it's not doing well, it's still not doing well. This is very, very wrong. Okay, let me go on. If you take action, yet forget your debt of gratitude, you are not grateful, you do not appreciate, then even those areas that have improved will get worse. You must practice faith with abundant gratitude, deeply appreciative of even the slightest improvement. If you have the attitude, please cure me quickly, just making demands without really devoting yourself, then the Gohonsen will be deaf to your prayers. Yeah, you can chant and pray that I'll get better, but if you don't take action to help others and to contribute yourself, then your progress, of course, you will make progress, but the progress will be slow. It is by helping others that you will get better and better. Let me go on. This is how President Toda taught the faith of repaying one's debt of gratitude. That is exemplified by Bodhisattva Medicine King. When we base ourselves on this faith, the spirit of Bodhisattva Medicine King in our hearts springs into vigorous activity on our behalf. We need to pray with such determination as to cause all the cells in our bodies to renew themselves. We need to spur all 60 trillion of them into action. President Ikeda says, although as a youth, I was told that I would only live to about the age of 30, I have thoroughly exerted myself for Kosen Rufu, and as a result, extended my life. I lived a line in the lifespan chapter, let us live out our lives, and for this, I feel immense appreciation. Lifespan has the meaning of longevity. Simply put, the lifespan chapter expounds the underlying life force needed to extend our lives and live to the fullest. From one standpoint, therefore, it could be said that Buddhism pursues the question of what constitutes true health. Mr. Sada says, would you elaborate on this? So President Ikeda says, the principles for the rules of health. He says, overcoming the four sufferings of birth, old age, sickness, and death is not just a matter of theory. We mustn't move away from the issues of how we can lead healthy, fulfilling, and long lives, and how we can die without suffering. Now, this is what I'm chanting for too. We all die, but we like to die without suffering. Buddhism teaches the wisdom that enables us to do this. Well, we need to have enormous benefit before you really can die without suffering. And the best way to collect benefit is to contribute yourself to Kosen Rufu, to help others, to encourage others, to teach others Nam-myoho Renge Kyo so they can attain happiness in life. Okay, Mr. Sato says, in other words, this is a warning against overeating. President Ikeda says, other rules also aim to control desires and harmonize the body and mind. Buddhist practice could be described as a health treatment for regulating the body and mind. He went on to say, through regulating the body and mind, we establish a foundation for the practice of observing the mind. That is to say, for observing that one's own life is an entity of 3,000 rams in a single moment of life. Good health is a necessary condition for awakening to the eternity of life. Only then can we perceive the universe in our own being. Thus, illness can throw the scene of one's life into disorder. Therefore, we can think of the Hinayana and provisional Mahayana teachings as progressively seeking to create balance and harmony in life, with the Lotus Sutra finally revealing the great life force that is free of aging and death. Health is a precious treasure. An acquaintance that has suffered from illness for many years once remarked, "Some people complain about being busy and exhausted, but I can only imagine how wonderful it would be to be busy and exhausted. It is to our advantage to accumulate as much good fortune and wisdom as we can, while we are healthy. Buddhism is wisdom. Health is wisdom too. Not begrudging one's life does not mean pushing oneself unnecessarily. We cannot continue if we run ourselves into the ground. Buddhism is reason, and unless we live wisely based on reason and in accord with the principle of health, manifesting itself in daily life, our efforts will produce only anti-value. Our organization could not then be called a society for value creation. Based on reason, we need to maintain, develop and control our life force in accord with our age and circumstances. We have to become physicians of our own lives. To think that no harm can come to us just because we are practicing or because we are leaders in organization is arrogance. In general, it could be said that the period of life through the 40s is a time of training, and after the 40s, we enter a period of preservation. It is important, therefore, that we exercise wisdom and are careful not to overextend ourselves. Mr. Suda says, getting enough sleep is probably the best way to prevent exhaustion. President Ikeda says, that's right. Sleep is a kind of minor death. It is an activity in which our body and mind temporarily merge with the sea of universal life. Through this rest, our life force is recharged and we gain power to take action the next day. In the same way, death also helps us recharge our life force. For someone whose body is old and sick, to return to the sea of revitalization of the universal life and then be reborn with a body full of new vitality may be the best thing. So much, of course, depends on the individual's karma and condition of faith. What can be said with certainty, however, is that a person who maintains the faith of Bodhisattva Medicine King will enjoy still more good fortune in the next existence and be reborn in exactly the circumstances desired. The key point is which of the 10 worlds our lives melt into at the moment of death. Here, now it's me talking again. I have long learned that the moment of death determines how we are going to be reborn. Is very, very important. At the moment of death, if you are grudging and if you are not happy, then in your next life, you will be in the same condition. But if you live, when you die, you are very satisfied and fulfilled and said, I lived a full life, a very meaningful life. You are in a very peaceful and happy situation, then you will enter the life of a Buddhahood and you will be born in a very, very nice family, nice situation with good health and happy. Those whose lives merge with the world of Buddhahood can be said to have attained eternal life regardless of the age at the time of death. These are people who have read the lifespan chapter with their lives and have developed a state of life described by the line. He will know neither aging nor death. On the other hand, even if people live to a ripe old age, if in the end they enter the three evil paths of the four evil paths, or the four evil paths, then their lives will ultimately have been in vain and fruitless. From the standpoint of the eternity of life, the difference between 50 years and 70 years hardly amounts to an instant. Taking into account the concept of life over the three existences, past, present, and future, everything depends on the extent to which we can establish the state of immortality, that is, the world of Buddhahood and faith, in our lives in this existence. I think we can say that this is the true measure of longevity. Mr. Ando says, that makes sense to me. Even if individuals should have a short life, as long as they have faith, they will be reborn immediately. I know a lot of members say, he or she practices Nichiren Buddhism. Why would he or she die at a young age or die suddenly? But this is not important. It all matters as to their own karma and whatever. But if they do believe and they practice Nichiren Buddhism and chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, no matter how old or what their age is when they die, they will be reborn as a Buddha, and very quickly. Okay, my next topic is strengthen your faith day by day and month after month. President Ikeda teaches that to live each day valuably, we need to banish the inactivity or laziness that can all too easily take root in our hearts. Because let me talk again. A lot of us started to practice to chant because we have a gut problem. But as life becomes easier, then people become lazy. They forget to chant, or they don't think it's necessary to chant. And this is very wrong. Faith is the constant struggle against inactivity and laziness and complacency. Nichiren Daishonin writes, strengthen your faith day by day and month after month. Should you slacken in your resolve even a bit, devils will take advantage. Be ever diligent in your path, so that your desires will be fulfilled. Not advancing is retreating. Please do not feel very satisfied with what you are doing. President Ikeda tells that we should advance every day. We should be improving ourselves day after day. Let me go on. Mr. Toda also constantly warned against having a lax attitude on our faith and practice. He said, everything in the universe, from the stars and planets to the smallest insect, is constantly changing. Nothing remains the same for a single moment. The crucial question, therefore, is whether we are changing for the better or changing for the worse. When we fail to realize this, we give in to sluggishness. In other words, the frightening thing about succumbing to sluggishness is that we are completely oblivious and indifferent to whether we are changing for the better or the worse. Moreover, when we grow uninterested in faith, practicing only out of habit, it is the same as we have stopped practicing altogether. Faith in Nichiren Buddhism is an active practice for rapidly changing ourselves for the better. Not advancing is not just stagnating, it is regressing. If you don't go forward, you are falling behind. You are going backwards. This will do in the realm of faith. Complacency gives rise to sluggishness and can lead one to stop practicing. The Daishonin writes, I know your faith has always been admirable, but now you must strengthen it more than ever. Only then will the 10 demons' daughters lend you greater protection. No matter how sparingly we may have exerted ourselves in faith in the past, if our commitment grows lax or apathetic, the protection of the heavenly deities, the positive forces of the universe, will weaken. Not only that, but we run the risk of erasing all the good fortune we have. Throughout his writings, the Daishonin often uses the phrase "more than ever" in encouraging his followers in their Buddhist practice. Encouraging Shinzo Ginko, who demonstrated his selfless commitment to faith at the time of persecution, the Daishonin writes, "Strengthen your power of faith more than ever, and you must strengthen your faith more than ever." The passage I quoted earlier, "Strengthen your faith day by day and month after month," was also addressed as encouragement to other disciples. Someone who came up with a list of symptoms for stagnation in faith, which included such things as having only vague goals and determinations, doing gongyo, but having no specific prayers while chanting, doing gongyo and SGI activities passively, only out of obligation, being prone to complain, feeling no joy, enthusiasm, nor gratitude, having a weak seeking spirit, being lax at one's job, forgetting the importance of putting one's faith into practice in daily life. I think we can all no doubt identify with these tendencies to some extent. Yeah, sometimes we don't feel like chanting, we don't like to attend meetings. We all feel, sometimes we're all human beings. Well, after all, therefore we are not perfect. But the Daishonin warns, if your faith weakens and you do not attain Buddhahood in this lifetime, do not reproach me. Our Buddhist practice is not an obligation. You are not obligated, but it's a right, it's our own right, which enables us to attain happiness. We gain benefit in direct proportion to our determination and our efforts in faith. Okay, so much for the Buddhism theory sharing. So I'm going to share with you quite an impressive experience about the lady who went through COVID-19 in Venezuela, her hardship and how she went through it. Let me start. As was the case with many people around the world, I was shocked the day the coronavirus pandemic was declared. I had just spent an entire week to hold up inside my house due to a bad migraine. I was also without internet, which meant that I was unable to communicate with my sister in Colombia. This caused me a lot of anxiety and led to a loss of appetite, and to smoking and drinking coffee compulsively. In addition, I had only made a few sales. My business is making custom labels and stickers, and had to use the small amount of money I had saved for rent on foot because of the COVID lockdown. I decided to show through my actions that even in these circumstances, it is possible to move forward. Now, I hope everybody would remember this phrase. Decided to show with actions that even in bad circumstances, we are able to move forward. This is a very good phrase. Okay, let me go on. The news reports about COVID seemed surreal, like a bad dream. I felt a lot of uncertainty, was disoriented and sad. I chanted a lot and read letters from the writings of Nichiren Daishonin for encouragement, but I didn't feel capable of understanding the meaning of anything. I ran out of food on several occasions, but from time to time, a friend would transfer some money into my account, and thanks to that, I could buy food. Some friends even showed up at my place carrying groceries. This is how the first month of quarantine passed. I thought a lot about the women in my local SGI community, but it was difficult to talk to them because there were no phone signals and they did not have electricity. I often wondered what I could do. I began chanting more and more. One day, a customer called and made the purchase. He wasn't able to come and pick up his purchase because he owned a bakery and started work very early in the morning. His car was also out of gas, so I offered to deliver his order on my bicycle. When we met, he asked me how much he owed me for the delivery. This caught my attention because it wasn't something I had considered before. Later, 2 friends suggested I start a delivery service. This is how I was inspired to use my bicycle for deliveries, and my sustainable transportation venture began. I went to businesses in my community and let them know that I was available to help deliver goods. At the same time, I encouraged my friends who had their own businesses not to give up during these particularly difficult times. They were all very low and helpless, and this reality really hit me. It is very difficult to encourage someone who is suffering and has lost hope. I have a tendency to scold people. That's me also. So I made a concerted effort to change this tendency through approaching people with more compassion and love. Now, this is what I need to do also. Let me go on. I decided to show through my actions that even in these circumstances, it is possible to move forward. I did my best to keep in touch with the young women in my local SGI group, be there for them and encourage them. Despite challenges with communication due to loss of phone and internet connection, one day, something really surprising happened. My doorbell rang. It was my 2 elderly neighbors to whom I had previously offered my services free of charge. They told me about food aid provided by the city due to lockdown. This was a huge benefit. That helped me generate hope. I have been able to continue my delivery service and make money. I deliver things such as medicine, gifts for birthdays and special occasions, food, masks, and letters. I feel tremendous gratitude and feel I have demonstrated that even amidst the worst circumstances, we can change poison into medicine. This is very important. We can change poison into medicine among the worst circumstances. Please remember this. The most important thing is that, despite the circumstances, I do everything with a sense of joy, filled with conviction and hope that the situation will change. While doing deliveries, people sometimes offer me water and encourage me not to stop. They applaud me when they see me paddling uphill with a basket loaded with 10 kilograms of goods. They ask me what I sell and praise my eye-catching cycling gear. Young people ask me how they can work with me. One day, a man told me, "You are a new class of Venezuelan with legs of will, a little iron bike, and a lot of heart." I'm convinced that my Buddhist practice and the Soka Gakkai community have helped me become the person I am today. I am eternally grateful. Now, I hope all of you who are participating in today's meeting learn from this lady's experiences, how she went through her hardship, and then how she found her way out. So this is what I'm sharing today.